Once upon a time, in a workplace that felt more like a war zone than an office, there ruled a man they called Captain Sobel. That wasn't his real name, but the nickname said it all. Inspired by the infamously abusive officer from Band of Brothers, Captain S was a legend, but for all the wrong reasons. I had known him for over 20 years. Back in the day, he seemed normal, hardworking, even likable. He started as just another worker bee in the financial section. Quiet guy, former military legal analyst, clean resume, but the culture there was toxic. People believed their work was above all others. If you were picked as one of their golden boys, your ego inflated fast. And Captain S? He was handpicked by his boss, a snake in a suit we called the used car salesman, because he smiled to your face and stabbed you in the back the second you turned around. Once Captain S was promoted, he transformed. Suddenly, he wasn't a co-worker, he was a tyrant. And if you were a woman or a minority, you were his favorite target. He screamed, he belittled, he humiliated people publicly over the smallest things. And it only got worse. There was a young female analyst, smart, diligent, but he'd scream at her in meetings, tear her reports apart in front of others, even though she was right. Eventually, she broke down crying and had to transfer. Another woman, same story. She submitted a report on public transportation. Nothing controversial. But Captain S stormed at her in front of a crowd. You're going to get people killed. It made no sense. And again, she was right. It didn't stop there. He once berated a fellow employee, a quiet guy, for using his copy machine. I'm not kidding. His exact words? You need written permission to use my copier. Then there was the intern who waited outside his office to ask a question. He flung open the door, pointed at her, and shouted, "You were spying on me." He even reported her to security. But perhaps the most disturbing moment came when he assaulted a journalist. She was in a public space, taking photos. Nothing illegal. But Captain S stormed in, grabbed her phone, deleted the photos, and walked away like nothing happened. She filed a complaint. They gave her an apology. Nothing changed. You see, the used car salesman had been promoted again, now overseeing even more departments. And he kept shielding Captain S like a loyal bodyguard. Any complaint was met with, "Oh, that's just how he is. You're being too sensitive." Maybe you misunderstood him. But one day it got personal. A very good friend of mine, we'll call her Maya, was transferred into Captain S's section, even though she had zero background in finance. On her first day, he screamed in her face over a midnight call that I had answered a year ago. When she tried to explain, he shoved a finger inches from her eyes and spat. "You're a liar. Shut up." Yes, literal spit hit her cheek. Every single day. After that, worse. He screamed in her face about reports she didn't even write, accused her of being criminal, and made her workplace a living hell. Finally, we'd had enough. The turning point, organizing resistance. Maya and I sat down one night, broken, angry, and done being silent. We started reaching out, one by one, woman by woman, and what we uncovered shocked even me. Over 20 other women, all with similar stories. He'd screamed in their faces, belittled their work, crossed the line, again and again, so I documented everything. And I walked straight into the office of a used car salesman. I laid it all out. His answer? He has PTSD from the military. You're overreacting. I stared him in the eyes and said, he's a legal analyst. He's never seen combat. Even if he did have PTSD, that's no excuse to abuse others. I offered a solution. Move Maya to another section. His reply? We don't move victims away from abusers. That sets a bad precedent. Maya left the organization the next day, and Captain S? He was promoted to lead the legal department. You heard that right. The man with 20-plus abuse complaints was now in charge of handling equal employment complaints. But karma was coming. The revenge. Not long after, the used car salesman retired, and a new legal director stepped in. Someone competent. Someone fair. We didn't waste time. Our group, now 30 strong, walked into his office. I looked him in the eye and said, "You have a serious problem with your number 2. He sighed. "I've been here since April," he said, "and I already have 8 complaints against him." That was just the tip. We handed over every document, every statement, every story. And within days, investigators arrived. They spoke to everyone, witnesses, victims, colleagues. The evidence was overwhelming. A few weeks later, the call came in. "Captain S, report to Washington, D.C. on Monday." He was flown out. 7 hours of interrogation by the assistant directors of inspections and HR. When he walked out, his title was gone. He was demoted, pending full investigation. A month later, he vanished. No email, no transfer, no goodbye. He disappeared from the organization. Forever. Reflective wrap-up. Justice doesn't always come quickly. And sometimes the system protects the wrong people for far too long. But when victims unite, when silence turns to solidarity, even the most untouchable tyrant can fall. Outro call to action. If that story hit a nerve or gave you chills, hit that like button and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Tell us in the comments, what's the worst boss you've ever dealt with? And subscribe for more true stories where karma finally catches up. Approximate. Word count, 1900, perfect for 10 to 12 minute narration. Let me know if you like a shortened version, visuals, cue suggestions, or voiceover. Style delivery next.